Well, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Conroe Symphony Salon series Ragtime concert. I believe this is the 5th one that we've done. We missed a few years. We started, I think, back in 2015, and we missed a few years in there. We had COVID and so forth, but anyway, I believe this is number 5. So, appreciate y'all being here. Couple of just housekeeping items. If you would, silence your phones. Who was that buzzed over here? Okay, all right. So silence your phone if you don't mind during the concert. We're going to be making enough noise without the phone noise. So anyway, a couple of other things I wanted to mention before we get started is that we are here in this room under the auspices of the Conroe Symphony, and this is where the symphony practices. The Jazz Connection kind of has that end of the room, and they're a great group, and they'll be playing some gigs here pretty shortly. They're on Facebook. Be sure to follow them too, because they have a great group. And actually the keyboard player for the Jazz Connection is scheduled to play. I think he's working, but he's going to show up later. That's Brandon. And I believe he's going to come and play a ragtime piece. But we're here also to give you the opportunity to get your season tickets for the symphony season, which is starting with the October concert is on October 19th. That'll be tunes from the tunes. And so a lot of cartoons use classical music in the soundtrack, and so we're going to be hearing some of that good music. The Christmas concert is always a popular one. That is on December 14th. All of these are at 2:30 at First Methodist. So it's during the day. A lot of people have told me that that kind of works out better to have it during the day where you're not having to drive at night. So all of these are at the church at 2:30. February concert is going to have music of George Gershwin, Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland. That'll have some great stuff. And the April concert will be a special one. Sal Viviano is a very talented actor and vocalist based in New York City. And so he will be coming in to do the Best of Broadway. And that is on April the 26th. Then we'll have the free patriotic concert will be on June the 28th at the church. So we're going to do that a little bit differently this year. We'll have it at the church. So pick up one of these cards. There's some on the back table there on the way out, and mark your calendar for all of these good concerts. The benefit of getting the season ticket, and I'm going to do some math, okay? We're going to do, I'm not going to put it on the board, but each concert is $25. So 4 concerts, how much would that be, Jeff? Be like $100. Okay, that's pretty close. I'm not saying that's the right answer, but it's pretty close. But the season ticket is $85. So Jeff, how much would you save if you bought a season ticket? $15. Okay, let's hear it for Jeff over here. And the last time I checked, $15 is $15. So that buys a lot of comic books. So, all right, I think maybe, well, okay, I did want to mention, the Friends of the Symphony is a great group, and there's some information on the posters back here about that. And a great group to get together with. It's to support the symphony and to also socialize and have a good time in supporting the symphony. And they're having a get-together on Saturday, September the 14th, and there'll be a ribbon cutting for the Friends of the Symphony at 2:45, and then the social will start at 3. So mark your calendar for Saturday, September 14th, and love to see you there. Okay, so we have most of our players are here, and we're going to this list that I gave you, the program, that's a list of the works that are going to be played. We don't know exactly what order, because there's a few people that are kind of en route to be here. So we don't know the exact order, but then we're just going to call up and kind of take turns playing. So once again, this is kind of a come and go thing. It'll be 4 hours long. Now we're going to give you some breaks, okay? By law, we have to give you some breaks, okay? And so we'll probably have the first break about 2:45, and then we'll have another one about 4. And that'll be a 15-minute break. And so we have cookies and water here. The restrooms are out in the foyer there. And so feel free to kind of come and go as needed. If you would, try to keep from maybe leaving or walking in during one of the pieces that's being played. But we're pretty informal here. And so we're just glad to see y'all, and we hope you have a good time. And our first group will be Flute Rhapsody, and I'm going to give you the names of the players and recognize each of them. So when I say your name, kind of make some, or raise your hand or scream or whatever. Stephanie Harris, okay. Kim Bellini, Sarah Chung Reichert, Karen Paganis, Carolyn Evans, Faith Bloomfield, John Allgood, Emily Hodge. Okay, this is Flute Rhapsody. Let's have a good hand for Flute Rhapsody. And Stephanie's going to say a little bit about each of the pieces before they're played, right?
I guess so. Our first piece is going to be by Scott Joplin. It's The Entertainer. I think most people are familiar with it. This arrangement is by Ricky Lombardo. He wrote it for piccolo, 3 flutes, and alto flute, which is what John plays. For those of you that don't know anything about flutes, you got your C flute that you typically see all the time. Most people know what a piccolo looks like, but most people don't know what a bass or an alto flute looks like. But they're just bigger flutes in our flute family, and it makes a nice sound for us to be able to produce something like this. So be listening for them, because you'll get to hear them. All right. 4. And this arrangement is by Martin Todd. He wrote this arrangement for 3 flutes, alto, and a bass. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything about Sycamore Rag to really say anything about it, so if any of the ragtime people know anything about Sycamore Rag and want to talk, you're more than welcome to give some history on it.
All I can tell you is the original sheet music goes for a lot of money.
All right. I did learn a long time ago that I'm in the wrong line of work. Renting music to orchestras, hey, you have to rent a piece for like $800 and then you have to return it. So I'm in the wrong line of work. All right. This particular piece was written in 1909 and arranged by Daniel Fletcher for 4 flutes, alto, and a bass. Once again, I couldn't really find a whole lot about James Scott, excuse me. Other than I did see that he did study under Joplin a little bit, or he sought him out to learn from him as well. If anybody knows anything about sunburst drag, we'd love to hear it. Nothing? I couldn't find anything on it, really. Be nice, but it's something that Bill found, and it's actually a neat piece to play, so we will play it for you. Hope nobody else is hot around here. It's hot up here right now. All right, you ready?
Okay, let's hear it for Flute Rhapsody. Thank you all very much for playing for us today. I know that you all have some other things going on, but we really appreciate your coming by and treating us to the 3 flute pieces. Awesome.
Well, thank you for those suggestions,
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, James Scott, along with Scott Joplin and Joseph Lamb, those are kind of the 3 big ragtime composers. And on the program today, you're going to hear quite a few Scott Joplin pieces. You're going to hear several James Scott pieces, one by Joseph Lamb. Joseph Lamb was just an amazing ragtime writer, and so those are the top 3, but we're going to be treated to hearing music by a lot of different ragtime composers today. So our next player, I'm going to call up a young man who is a student of Alicia Russell, and Reese, come on up. Reese Longmire is going to treat us to the Mississippi River Rag, and that is by Judy East Wells. And so, you got anything you want to say to the group, Reese?
I don't really know much about this piece, but I really like it.
It's good to have some young folks that are carrying on the ragtime tradition, right? Our special guest today is someone who has not been at any of our previous ragtime sessions here in Conroe, but we're very pleased to have Hayden Braun. And Hayden is well known here in the Conroe area. I heard him play at the Walden Yacht Club on an evening, and I was quite pleased when he played a Scott Joplin piece, and it wasn't one of the ones that you normally hear. It was one of the ones that was a little bit off the beaten track, and so when he had a break, went over and thanked him for playing the ragtime. I said, I'm a fan of ragtime, and he said, well, I am too. And so when we were planning this, I got in touch with Hayden's wife, Pat, and asked her if Hayden would be interested in coming and joining us and playing a few ragtime pieces. And so he said yes. And so we're very pleased to have Hayden. Now he plays at the Walden Yacht Club on Friday evenings, so you can catch him there. He also plays piano at the Northside Baptist Church on 3083. And he also does a lot of other musical things. He is a piano tuner, and he also does weddings and receptions, private parties, and concerts. And so he's so talented, and I just can't tell you how pleased I am to introduce Hayden Braun. And I believe for his first two numbers, he's going to do the Maple Leaf Rag, that's Scott Joplin's million-selling greatest hit, and then the Cascades, which was written by Joplin for the St. Louis World's Fair in 1904. And they had a wonderful fountain at the World's Fair, just this fabulous water fountain. And so Scott Joplin wrote the Cascades in honor of that World's Fair. So Hayden, come on up, and let's give Hayden a big round of applause.
Here we go.
Thank you, Hayden. That was awesome. That, you know, the Cascades is not an easy rag to play. A lot of these ragtime pieces are pretty challenging, and that's one of them. And when I'm listening to that piece, I can kind of visualize the waterfall, you know, the water rippling down across the ledges of the big fountain. So thank you, Hayden. Appreciate that. And we'll have Hayden come back later. What we're going to kind of do is take turns playing, and so you don't get tired of any one of us. You know, that's the idea, and that we don't pass out from exertion up here. So next, I'm just going to kind of go in kind of the order that we have on this list. And so Brooks, you want to come on up and do your first two?
Sure.
Say yes, thank you. Okay, and so I'll let you introduce your pieces. Do you want the microphone?
You never give a salesman a microphone.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna get it.
They did that at the piano competition this year, and I think they regretted it. So that was the first thing they said. No, you never give a salesman a microphone. Great to see everybody here. Bill, thanks for organizing this again. Reese, that was awesome, buddy. Way to go. Man, I love hearing new rags. I love seeing the youth perform today. Lisa, great job teaching, keeping the music going. I started my ragtime career 51 years ago. Like a lot of folks, thanks to Marvin Hamlish and bringing back the Scott Joplin music that came out, I fell in love with ragtime. I was taking piano lessons at the time as a kid, and for my 6th grade recital, I played the Revolutionary Etude, Chopin, and nobody liked it, and I played the Entertainer, and everybody liked that. And so after that, I started playing ragtime piano. I just became a sponge. I started learning as much as I could about ragtime, finding old sheet music. It's beautiful listening to all the arrangements. I feel for the musicians, a lot of this music wasn't written down. So, you know, it was on piano rolls, it was on other things. Ragtime came from the term ragged rhythm. So you heard a great job with Hayden, the left hand, very solid, set to beat. And the left hand, and your right hand then plays on the offbeat, so hence the syncopation and the ragged rhythm. And that's what I fell in love with, and it lets you kind of be your own person in playing the music. And so I'm going to start with a piece that was in my great-grandmother's box of sheets. And I'm going to play I just got back from the World Old Time Championship Piano Playing Contest in Oxford, Mississippi. So I'm going to play the 4 pieces today that I performed.
What did you win?
What's that?
What did you win at the
I got
contest?
second place, so there was
Second place,
a little bit
okay.
better. No, thanks to my buddies, and it's great to see the San Antonio Ragtime Society finally in Houston, because I'm the only guy from Houston that's goes over to San Antonio, besides Bill and ourselves, so it's a lot of fun. Delightful tune. This was written by a woman named Adeline Shepard in 1906, and it was actually part of one of the presidential, I think it was Warren Jennings? Yeah. Part of his, you'll hear in the middle of the piece, I think would have been a great tune for our campaign slogan. But it gives every element of ragtime. It's one of my favorite tunes, called Pickles and Peppers. 1906. I didn't get a warm up. I kind of use all the keys too. We're warm. we play. I mean, it's wonderful. I don't have a musical career and all this other work. I'm an old sales guy. I've built power plants, so it's been very fortunate. I clean up the air and the water, and in the between time, I play a little ragtime piano for the schnauzers in the living room. So it's great to have an audience. So we appreciate that. A lot of great music was written in Texas, and so for my second piece here, I'm going to play a tune from 1915. Ragtime was a dance, so there was two steps, one steps, marches, and this was a foxtrot that was kind of neat. It was written by a fellow named David Guyon. Totally different style. That's the thing I love about ragtime is you can play a lot of different music, and it doesn't sound the same. And so it's different than a classical. I know we're here to support the symphony. I love classical music, but when you can syncopate it and have a little fun with it, this is a neat tune called the Texas Foxtrot.
it was a very interesting guy, and he left his manuscripts and documents and paperwork at various places. There's some in Round Top Festival Institute, and some at the University of Texas, some at Baylor, some at Texas Tech. He kind of spread it all over the place. And a very interesting guy, and at some point, I think the U of H Symphony is planning to play his Texas Suite, which one of the 14 segments is the Texas Foxtrot. And so I'm hoping that that will happen one of these days. I think they are working on that. So thanks again, Brooks. Okay, now Brandon, are you ready? Do you have all of your cheering section here yet?
It appears.
Well, if there's no rush. If you want to wait, we can wait a little bit.
Is Miss Bickley here?
Wait a few minutes.
Nancy?
Sounds like
She was coming.
Okay, so we're going to wait a little bit on Brandon. He's got a cheering section that he pays to come and cheer for him.
That's right.
And I'll go ahead and brag on Brandon a little bit. He is the keyboard player for the Jazz Connection, and he does a super job with them. But he loves ragtime, and he's a former student of Jeff Russell's wife, Alicia. And so we're glad to have Brandon back today, and we'll have him come up in a little bit. Okay, a guy another interesting guy, comes to us from Waco by way of Australia. And he flew in today to Conroe Intergalactic Airport in a plane of his own manufacture. He made his own plane, and he flies it, and he hasn't found anyone yet that will ride with him. No, I shouldn't say that. But I believe the plane has 4 seats, okay? And so if you're interested, you can talk to Monty Suffern. Monty is a super guy that I've met through the San Antonio Ragtime Society, and so he is well traveled. And come on up and brag on yourself a little bit and tell us, you were involved in the World Championship of Old Time Piano Playing, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
I'll tell you a little bit about that. Brooks just came back from it with a very, very credible second, and it's a lot of fun, as he said. It's, they've held it in Oxford, Mississippi at Ole Miss. You can forgive them for that, I guess, but that depends on your politics. I get to indulge 2 of my passions today. I flew down here, and now I get to play piano for you people. Those are the 2 things that I fill my life with. Now, it's very important not to mix them up. While I'm flying down here, I mustn't be thinking about music. And while I'm playing here, I'd better not be thinking about flying home. But you will tell if I do. And it sometimes happens. The first piece I'm going to play for you is something that I actually wrote. It's I've called it the Bohemian Companion. I've heard the name Joseph Lamb mentioned already today, and in 1919 he published a song called the Bohemia Rag, or just Bohemia Rag. Everyone just calls it Bohemia. And you go to these ragtime festivals and you see all these people who just join up with each other and play along. You'll get to hear from one of them, Michael Chisholm, very shortly. And I can't do that, so I actually wrote something out so I could play along with someone else playing Bohemia Rag. So this is called my Bohemian Companion, and it uses the same chord structure and the same everything in the place, except for the melody and stuff. So here's the Bohemian Companion by me, written around about 2004, but I never write stuff like that down, so I don't really have any good idea when I wrote it. If you already know Bohemia, be humming that along to yourself while I go, and you'll see how it fits together. I hope. A funny seat, Brooks. Oh man, must have been thinking about the aeroplane. Now I've really forgotten. And yes, I did use a very top note on the piano. And I try to use a very top one and the very bottom one, just not at the same time unless it's an A minor chord. The next piece I'm going to play for you was written around about 1960, I believe. It was written by a man called Tom Shea, who passed away all too soon. He wrote some really nice ragtime. It's what you would classify as folk rags. So this is a folk rag written by Tom Shea, and it's called, come on guys, the Corn Cracker Rag. Thank you. I must have been thinking about flying again. That's going to be my go-to excuse.
Where do we stand in line for Ragtime?
Hey, you can all use that excuse if you like. Corn Cracker Rag, Tom Shea, 1960. Brooks, and you can see we're one happy little family in the Ragtime. That's the first time I've ever played.
All right. Thank you, Monty. Monty is, as he said, several of us meet every other month. It's like on the even-numbered months at the San Antonio Steinway Piano Gallery, and we have a San Antonio Ragtime Society. I drive over when I can, and they've encouraged me not to come as often as I was. But no, I do like to come and mainly listen. I've got a duet partner over there at the other end of I-10, but I've got a duet partner here in Conroe. Alicia, you want to come on up and we'll do one of our duets. I know many of you came to hear me. Well, really, just one person came to hear me play, and I like to do the duets because I can hide behind her. Okay. Alicia is a fantastic piano teacher and is well known here in Conroe, and she has graciously agreed to do a couple of duets with me. And but we have fun doing this. I didn't ask you about the stools, but is that all right? Because I think the piano being on wheels, it puts it up pretty high, and the bench is a little bit low. And I was up kind of playing kind of like this, and so we're going to use these stools, which we borrowed from the Jazz Connection, Brandon. Yeah. Okay. All right. He's giving us the okay on it. Okay. So. Shall we do Pork and Beans first? Okay. So we're going to do Pork and Beans by Lucky Roberts. And then we have another one that, if you like this one, we could do another one later. Okay. But if you're good and listen to us on this, we're going to have a break. We're going to give y'all a break in just a few minutes. So, Pork and Beans. Okay. Alicia said that y'all were good, and so you can have a break now. She's the teacher, and so she, you know, what the teacher says goes. So let's take a 15-minute break. We have cookies and water over here. Help yourself to those. And so we'll see you back here at about 5 till 3.